In React, whenever a component renders on the screen or comes off the screen, we refer to those events as either mounting onto or unmounting from the application. React provides special methods for each component based off of these events in order to allow us to run code for our application, and React calls them lifecycle hooks. The first hook or method we'll use is the component will mount hook. It runs before the component completely renders onto the application. We'll use this one because we want to calculate the past props data and the current days, hours, and minutes and seconds we need before we render our data onto the screen. So once we have our data, we'll update the state of our application so that the proper stuff gets rendered. So let's add that component will mount function right below the props. And then we'll calculate this.get time until our props deadline. And before I save, let's go ahead and remove this from the render method to make sure we don't get the same error as before. We'll save. And there we go. This is unexpected behavior because I didn't actually write component will mount. I wrote component will mount. Another one of those errors you guys probably recognize. And there we go. We see the updating days. Cool. Why don't we also update the hours to the hours. Whoa, it's working. Now, a cool ES6 trick that we can use to make our code simpler is to use the key value shorthand syntax. You notice how the key and the value look exactly the same? Well, rather than saying days is days, I can simply specify days as one keyword, and it'll automatically recognize that the days should be the key and days should also be the value. So as I save and reload, you'll notice that it still works. Same goes for hours. And now I can significantly shorten this line by just saying minutes and seconds. As I save, the whole thing updates. Let's go ahead and get rid of these console logs that we don't need anymore. Save again. And now we'll take advantage of another lifecycle hook called component did mount. This one runs after the component has completely rendered onto the application. Within our component did mount hook, we'll call get time until every second in order to continue updating our timer. JavaScript ships with a special set interval function that allows you to run some code at a specific interval. It runs in milliseconds, so we'll specify our function as the first argument and 1,000 milliseconds, which equates to a second, as the second argument. So let's write that now. Set interval, and then we'll need to specify an arrow function, which is anonymous, and we'll call this.get time until our props deadline, of course, and then we'll say it runs every 1,000 milliseconds. Let's go ahead and save this. And look at that. We have an updating timer already. Very cool. We have a working application now because we can even change the date. Check it out. Let's say I want November 25, 2017. And look, about 30 days were subtracted. That's so awesome. There's just a couple things to fix, however. For one, notice that there's a problem with numbers less than 10. They mess up the spacing of the application because they're missing an extra digit. They need a leading zero prefix in order to fix this. We'll address that issue in the next video where we'll add a leading zero helper method.